People worship motivation. They treat it like some magic fuel that will change their life. They wait for it. They chase it. They rely on it. But here's the harsh truth. Motivation is a lie. It feels real in the moment. It feels powerful when a speech hits you, when a movie scene gives you goosebumps, when a quote makes you say, yes, from tomorrow I'll change everything. But tomorrow comes and nothing changes, because motivation is not built to last. Motivation is like sugar. It gives you a quick rush, a burst of energy, but soon it fades, leaving you weaker, craving for more. That's why people binge motivational videos every day, but their life looks the same every year. They confuse temporary feelings with permanent change. Think about it. How many times have you felt super motivated at night, planning to wake up at 5 a.m., hit the gym, study for hours, build your dream project? And how many times did you actually follow through the next morning? Most people don't. Not because they're lazy, not because they're broken, but because they misunderstood the game. Motivation is not the foundation of success. It's entertainment. It's fireworks. It looks beautiful for a few seconds, then disappears into darkness. The real foundation is discipline. The real foundation is routine. The real foundation is doing the work when you don't feel like it. But here's the trap. Society has sold us the idea that motivation will save us. Schools don't teach discipline, they teach obedience. Workplaces don't reward courage, they reward consistency inside a box. So people grow up thinking the only way to start is to feel ready. And if they don't feel ready, they wait. But waiting is poison. Waiting kills dreams. Waiting convinces you that one day a magical wave of motivation will hit you and suddenly you'll transform. That day never comes. Motivation is not only a lie, it's an addiction. People are addicted to the high of feeling inspired without the pain of taking action. It's easier to watch 10 motivational videos than to do 10 push-ups. It's easier to clap for someone else's success than to build your own. It's easier to say, I'll start when I feel motivated, than to admit I'm avoiding the hard work. But here's the brutal reality. Success doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if you're not in the mood. It only responds to action, repetition, and resilience. Look at the most successful people in any field. Athletes, entrepreneurs, artists. Do you think they wake up every day with fire in their chest? Do you think every morning feels like a movie montage with epic music in the background? No, most days are boring. Most days feel heavy. Most days they don't feel like showing up. But they do it anyway. That's why they win. Motivation gets you started for a day. Discipline keeps you moving for a lifetime. The problem is, people don't want to hear this. They want the easy answer. They want the hack, the shortcut, the secret formula. They want to believe that if they just find the right speech, the right guru, the right video, suddenly everything will click. But nothing clicks until you do the work. Here's the difference between the 99% and the 1%. The 99% keep waiting for motivation. The 1% act without it. The 99% want to feel good before they act. The 1% act even when they feel bad. The 99% use motivation as an excuse. The 1% use discipline as a weapon. And here's the thing, once you understand this, you can't unsee it. You'll notice how people around you live their lives in circles. Every new year, they're motivated to change. Every Monday, they're motivated to start fresh. Every failure, they're motivated to try again. But within weeks, days, even hours, the fire burns out, and they fall back into the same habits, the same comfort, the same cycle. Comfort, that's the silent killer. Motivation fails because comfort always wins. Comfort is easy. Comfort is predictable. Comfort whispers, stay here, you've worked enough. But comfort doesn't care about your dreams. Comfort only cares about keeping you safe, small, and stuck. If you want to escape, you need to kill the illusion. You need to stop chasing feelings and start building systems. Systems don't care if you're motivated. A gym schedule doesn't care if you're tired. A savings plan doesn't care if you're in the mood. A writing habit doesn't care if you feel inspired. Systems force you to act regardless of emotion. That's why successful people rely on habits, not hype. They know motivation will betray them. They know feelings are unreliable. So they build structures that make action automatic. You don't need to feel motivated to brush your teeth. You don't need to feel inspired to take a shower. It's automatic. It's non-negotiable. That's how your goals should be. You want to build muscle? Training becomes non-negotiable. You want to build wealth? Saving and investing becomes non-negotiable. You want to build mastery? Practice becomes non-negotiable. The lie of motivation is that it tells you action should feel good, but action doesn't need to feel good. It just needs to be done. The greatest freedom comes when you stop negotiating with your feelings. Because here's another truth. Motivation lies, but discipline compounds. Every small disciplined action stacks up, day after day, week after week, year after year, until one day the world calls you lucky. But it wasn't luck. It wasn't motivation. It was boring, unglamorous, repeated discipline that built something extraordinary. So if you're listening to this, remember one thing. Stop waiting to feel ready. You'll never feel ready. Start anyway. Act anyway. Do it anyway. Because motivation is a lie. And the longer you chase it, the longer you stay stuck. The truth is simple. You don't need motivation. You need to move. Motivation is dangerous, not just because it fades, but because it tricks you into believing you're making progress. Think about it. You watch a powerful video. You clap, you nod, you even share it with your friends. For a few minutes, you feel unstoppable. But what actually changed? Nothing. Your problems are still there. Your habits are still the same. Your actions didn't shift, but your brain got a little dopamine rush, so it thinks something happened. That's the trap. Motivation feels like movement, but it's just emotion. It feels like you're building, but you're just fantasizing. And fantasy is seductive. It makes you dream about the results without suffering through the process. It makes you imagine the body without the workouts, the wealth without the grind, the respect without the sacrifice. And when reality doesn't match that dream, you collapse. That's why most people quit. They think they lost motivation. But the truth, they never built discipline in the first place. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care about your mood swings, your doubts, or your excuses. It only demands consistency. And here's the brutal truth. Consistency is boring. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to accept that greatness is hidden in the boring repetition of ordinary tasks. But that's the secret the 1% live by. A boxer doesn't become a champion because of one inspired fight. He becomes a champion because of 10,000 silent rounds in the gym. An author doesn't create a masterpiece from one night of inspiration. They create it from years of writing words that nobody will ever read. An entrepreneur doesn't build an empire because they felt motivated one weekend. They build it through years of grind, sacrifice, and delayed gratification. The crowd only sees the highlight reel. The sweat, the pain, the failures, all of that gets hidden. And what gets glorified? Motivation, the speeches, the slogans, the moments of inspiration. But not the lonely nights, not the broken plans, not the hours of discipline when nobody was watching. Motivation wants applause. Discipline works in silence. And here's the paradox. The more you chase motivation, the weaker you get. Because every time you wait for a spark before you move, you train your brain to depend on feelings. But feelings are unstable. One bad day, one rejection, one failure, and your entire foundation collapses. That's why most people live life like a roller coaster. Up when they're motivated, down when they're not. Starting, stopping, starting again, stopping again. Endless cycles of temporary progress followed by permanent setbacks. And then they wonder, why do I feel stuck? Why can't I move forward? It's simple, because they're building their life on fuel that burns out too fast. The people who win long term, they don't run on motivation. They run on identity. This is the shift nobody talks about. When you rely on motivation, you're saying, I act when I feel like it. When you rely on identity, you're saying, I act because this is who I am. See the difference? One is conditional, the other is permanent. The motivated person says, I'll go to the gym when I feel pumped. The disciplined person says, I go to the gym because I'm the kind of person who doesn't miss workouts. The motivated person says, I'll work hard when I feel inspired. The disciplined person says, I work hard because this is who I am. Motivation is about emotion. Identity is about character. If you want freedom, you have to kill the motivated version of yourself and build the disciplined version. Here's the thing most people don't realize. Motiva. Tion is passive, but discipline is active. You don't control when you feel motivated. It just happens, or it doesn't. But discipline, that's yours. You choose it. You create it. You practice it like a skill. Discipline is not a talent. Nobody is born disciplined. It's built. It's forged in the fire of daily decisions. It's shaped when you say yes to the hard thing and no to the easy escape. And over time, something magical happens. You stop needing motivation altogether because action itself becomes addictive. Progress becomes addictive. Growth becomes addictive. You realize that nothing feels better than keeping a promise to yourself. Not motivation, not entertainment, not comfort, nothing. That's when you become unstoppable, because now your fuel is internal. Nobody can take it from you. Nobody can give it to you. It's yours. But let's be real, this path is brutal. It's uncomfortable. It demands sacrifice. And that's why most people will never take it. Most people would rather stay in the illusion of motivation than face the pain of discipline. They'd rather feel good for 5 minutes than build something for 5 years. They'd rather consume inspiration than create results. That's why they stay average. But if you're listening to this, maybe you're not like most people. Maybe you're tired of the lies. Maybe you're done with the illusion. Maybe you're ready for the shift. So here's the challenge. Stop chasing motivation. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop expecting to be inspired. Start acting without it. Wake up tomorrow and do the thing you've been avoiding. Don't wait for the music, the quotes, the fire. Just do it. Even if it's ugly. Even if it's messy. Even if it's uncomfortable. Because the truth is, motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent. Motivation creates moments. Discipline creates legacies. Motivate. And excites the crowd. Discipline changes the world. So ask yourself, are you going to be another person addicted to the lie of motivation? Or are you going to build the identity of someone who acts regardless of how they feel? Because the choice is yours and the clock is ticking. Motivation doesn't just lie to you. It robs you. It steals years from your life without you even realizing it. How? By convincing you that waiting is progress. By making you believe tomorrow is the day you'll start. By whispering that one more video, one more quote, one more spark will finally be enough. But tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next year. And before you know it, you wasted a decade. This is the harsh truth. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They don't fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because they waste their life waiting to feel motivated. And when the years pass, reality hits. Their body is weaker. Their energy is lower. Their dreams feel distant. And regret becomes the heaviest weight they'll ever carry. Regret doesn't shout. It whispers. It whispers when you see someone younger doing what you should have started. It whispers when you look at your own reflection and wonder what could have been. It whispers when you realize you traded your fire for comfort, your dreams for excuses. That's the real cost of motivation, not just failure, but regret. And regret is permanent. You can recover from failure. You can rise after rejection. But regret, you can't erase it. You carry it to your grave. That's why this moment matters. Right here, right now. This is the line in the sand. This is where you decide whether you're going to keep living in the cycle of false sparks or break free. Because the truth is, motivation won't save you. Nobody is coming to save you. Not the speaker, not the coach, not the system. It's you. Always you. And you already have everything you need. You don't need more motivation. You need decisions. You need habits. You need relentless action. Think about it. Every great man you admire, your fighters, leaders, builders, warriors, they all felt the same laziness, the same fear, the same doubts you feel. The difference? They didn't wait for motivation. They acted in spite of it. That's the secret. That's the shift. You don't rise when you're motivated. You rise when you move without it. Discipline is not sexy. It's not exciting. It's waking up when you don't want to. It's showing up when no one is watching. It's grinding through boredom, through pain, through doubt. But it's the only path. Motivation may get you started once, but only discipline will carry you to the end. So let me tell you this. Stop worshiping motivation. It's not your friend. It's the drug that keeps you weak. It gives you a high, then drops you lower than before. And every time you run back to it, you prove you're still a slave to your feelings. But discipline is freedom. Discipline is strength. Discipline is the key that unlocks the man you were meant to be. And when you live with discipline, something shifts. You no longer need motivation. You no longer wait. You no longer bargain with your excuses. You just act. And that action builds momentum. Momentum builds power. And power builds the life you thought was impossible. That's how warriors are forged. That's how legacies are written. That's how the 1% rise while the 99% stay stuck. The question is simple. Which one are you? Are you the man who talks or the man who acts? The man who waits for motivation or the man who moves without it? Because history doesn't remember the motivated. It remembers the disciplined. It remembers the relentless. It remembers the ones who refuse to bow to their feelings. Motivation is a lie. Discipline is the truth, and the truth will set you free if you're willing to live it. So stop waiting. Stop searching for sparks. Stop consuming and start creating. Wake up tomorrow and act, not because you feel like it, not because you're inspired, but because this is who you are now. You are not another slave to motivation. You are discipline. You are action. You are the storm. And storms don't wait. They move. They destroy. They create. So move now. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. Because every second you hesitate, motivation wins and you lose. Choose discipline. Choose power. Choose freedom. The harsh truth is simple. Motivation will keep you weak. Discipline will make you unstoppable. The choice is yours.